is quite early here, much earlier than I would like. And I'm off on the longest drive I think it is I have on this trip, which is what it is. But I'm on my way to a park that I've never been to before. Because today I'm on my way to Parc.Des, which I may be mispronouncing. But it's a long drive, though. I'm powered by Iron Brew, so I'll get there. I'll see you there. The 375km or 230-mile trip would take me over 4 hours, but the park that awaited had some unique attractions that I really wanted to check out. There's a handful of coasters, and this alpine coaster is the first one. Going up the lift hill gave a great view of the main reason I went to this park, a now one-of-a-kind ride called Canad'R. At first look it may look just like a booster, but it's actually something much more special. I'll tell you all about it later, but first up we had the alpine coaster itself. That alpine coaster was actually pretty good fun. It didn't have any automatic brakes, so it got up quite a good bit of speed. So as well as the alpine coaster, there's also one of these summer bobsleds. Now I think there are two speeds you can go on this. There's a speed you go on it before you come off one of these, and there's a speed you go on after you come off one of these. Now unfortunately I have crashed one of these in the past, and it is quite painful to do. Imagine carpet burn but on sheet metal. It's not that fun. So ever since crashing one of these, I generally do actually use the brakes. So it won't be the fastest run on this, but hopefully I will make it down in one piece and not covered in carpet burns. Let's ride it. Also, I'm quite tall and have quite a high centre of gravity, which brings with it some inherent instability on those. The park also has two more traditional, family-orientated roller coasters, the first being a Vekoma junior coaster called Devil Train. This was surrounded by trees and foliage, which made it seem a bit faster and much more fun to ride than I actually expected it to be. It's an off-the-shelf model from Vekoma, with the same layout as a few rides at Six Flags, Disney and other parks. However, it goes to show the difference that landscaping and theming can make to get the most out of a ride. The other traditional roller coaster here is also an off-the-shelf model from Vekoma, in the form of a family boomerang ride, the same as Accelerator at Drayton Manor. This one, however, wasn't as well landscaped, although it was still fun enough to make it worth riding. The main event of the park, however, is Canad'R, a ride model called the Flying Fury, which is made by Italian company Technical Parc. It's actually quite strange to me that the majority of flat rides at this park seem to be made by this company. Almost like how Europa Park is a showcase for MACK rides, Des seems to be the Technical Park showcase. Canad'R is to my knowledge the only Flying Fury ride still in existence, and thanks to some slightly sneaky and tactical queue line placement, I managed to get the pilot seat, as only one of the 4 riders gets to control the ride. Have you ever wondered what happens when you let a ride enthusiast handle the controls? Well, watch and find out. I did of course check with the other 2 passengers on my ride that they were okay with a bit of an extreme ride, as I wanted to see exactly just what this thing could do. That's not what I meant.
You got it, you got it. Oh. Ah.
Turbo?
Sorry?
Turbo?
Turbo.
Not very turbo, is it?
Okay. Wow. What a view. Yes, yes. Woohoo.
I heard this can do 5G.
Manage?
Yeah.
Right. Dans le ciel. Ouais, pas trop longtemps, hein.
The controls aren't doing anything anymore.
2 heures, tu peux pas. T'as le sang qui monte à la tête. Ça explose. Is it you, the speed? Or
No,
the time?
it's. I think it's coming into land now.
Ah, yes. Okay. Maybe for. Because it's finished. It's finished.
It's good fun.
Woohoo, yes.
Better than Ryanair, anyway.
Mm.
So I rather enjoyed that Canad'R. I'm not sure if that's the way you pronounce it or not. They used to have the same ride at Tivoli Gardens in Copenhagen. It's gone now, but when it was there, it operated in an automatic mode, which took it through all the things it could do. And if I remember right, they had one side which went mostly forwards and the other went backwards. This one, it's got a manual mode, and that seems to be the only way they run it. So you've got a stick where you control forwards and backwards movement. It also controls yaw and roll as well. It was a little tricky to get the hang of the controls of it, so I'm used to sort of the normal joystick controls where you've got pitch, roll and yaw, which can be like twisting or with foot pedals on a normal plane. On this, the pitch is your acceleration forwards or backwards. Roll is actually your yaw axis, so you're turning side to side, and your roll axis is controlled with your thumb. There's also a button, two buttons on the console. One is essentially the eject button, which means I'm not having fun, stop the ride, and it'll bring it down safely to a gentle stop. And the other one is the boost button, which accelerates you to, I think, 5G at the bottom. It's a really fun ride. It's low capacity, so it's not going to be a ride that I'll ever make very many of, because there was still a reasonable queue for it, and each ride cycle, a good few minutes. So it's low capacity, but really, really good fun. I'd say that's probably the main attraction here. Now, I'm not 100% sure if the claim of 5G is accurate on this, as it did feel strong and fast, but it didn't cause any sort of grey out. By my logic, if it pulled 5G at the bottom, it would be a minimum of 3G at the top, and an average about 4G sustained, which you'd expect to maybe cause a little bit of blackout, but it didn't affect me in that way. There are also some other interesting rides at the park. Namely, they have a version of a flyer, but it's on an elevated, slidey up and down thing. This was another technical Parc manufactured ride, and it was good fun, although the speed that it went at meant that you couldn't really snap the flyers or get them flying too crazily. There was also a technical Parc log flume, which I skipped because I didn't really fancy getting wet on that day. The Alpine coaster here was also really good fun. There's no trims in it that I noticed, so you can go full speed the whole way, which of course I did. And you get some good speed, and there's some nice little bumps which you can get a little bit of air off of. Really good fun, and much better than the other Alpine coaster I did earlier in France. There are also two roller coasters here. They're kind of family coasters, but not kiddie coasters, and they're both really kind of good fun. They're not sort of extreme thrills. I mean, the main extreme thrill ride here is of course the Canad'R one. There's another flat ride here, but unfortunately it's shut. It's okay. Oh, and there's also a Gerstlauer loop-de-loop skyfly thing, which I'm going to go off and do now. So it turns out this ride was not actually made by Gerstlauer. Instead, it was done by, you've guessed it, Technical Parc. It's kind of like a cross between a Skyfly and an Enterprise, and it was good fun. The restraints were also a little bit more comfy than what you normally get on Gerstlauer rides like this. So that about wraps it up for Parc des Coombs. It's a fun little place. There's not a huge amount of things here. The coasters are kind of one and done, although the Alpine coaster is quite good. I'd say the main reason to come here is for the unique flat ride, Canad'R, which I'm maybe mispronouncing again. But it's really quite good fun, like a booster, but you get to control what it does, which is novel if anything. I have to say as well, the local scenery looks absolutely stunning. See? Although it's better up at the top of the park. For now, I'm going to try and head on to Le Pal. I'd say that Parc des Coombs isn't a full day park, half day if that. But it's nice, worth visiting. But yes, off to Le Pal now. I'll see you there. Le Pal is a much larger park than Des Coombs, and it's a little over an hour's drive away. If you're thinking of doing a similar trip, however, just be aware that you may end up on a French toll road that you can only pay for online. This would be my second visit to Le Pal, and my main reason for coming back was a brand new MACK water coaster called Fjord Explorer. The ride doesn't have a lot of coaster track, however it does have an impressively angled element that's almost like a wave turn, something I've never seen before on a water coaster with boats. Well, I have made it to Le Pal, and I've just ridden the new Fjord Explorer water coaster twice, and it's really rather good fun. What impressed me most though is the theming of the whole area. It's almost like being in Europa Park. It's really that nicely detailed. The queue line was really nice as well, and the ride was really fun. Le Pal also has an interesting shooting dark ride where you shoot the most evil thing known to mankind: mushrooms. I hate mushrooms. But yeah, it's quite a fun little shooty ride. It's similar to Midway Mayhem. It's got the same sort of shooting mechanism as that. But it's, yeah, a little bit of good fun and quite random that you shoot mushrooms. Another ride that you shouldn't miss, which leaves from this station, is their adventure train. At first glance, it might just look like your normal scenic train ride, But there's a few surprises along the way, so if you don't want spoilers, skip ahead here. At one point the train looks like it's going underwater, however it's kind of more like an infinity pool that you go next to. It's kind of a cool effect. The highlight of the ride though is near the end, where you enter a tunnel, and then it kind of acts like a madhouse. The track rotates side to side and the cave rotates all around you, so it's really quite disorientating. It's a novel ride that I've never seen anywhere else before, at least on a train anyway. The best coaster in the park is almost certainly Yukon Quad. It's actually a mirror image of Jubilee, a similar ride at Jura's Summerland, except as well as being a mirror image, it also goes about 5 km an hour faster, which makes it a bit more thrilling. The park is also home to Twist, a MACK spinning coaster with the same layout as Dwervelwind at Toverland. For me, however, I think the most interesting coaster they have here is actually Azteca. It's a unique terrain coaster built by Soke that's kind of unlike any other Soke coaster I've been on. It's really good fun. Speaking of the unusual, their other family coaster, Siberian Tiger, has also got some really quite strange track. It almost looks semi-finished, like it's missing some of the support pieces. There's honestly a lot more to Lapal than just the coasters though, as it's also got a large zoo with many animals. Sadly for this trip I didn't have a huge amount of time at the park due to the early start near Paris and visiting Des Combes, but it's a park I'd highly recommend visiting as it's really got something for everyone. On the next day of my trip I'd visit Wallaby Rhone Alps to ride their new single rail coaster, and if you want to know how that was you can check out my video review. The next episode of this series, however, will be finally focusing on alpine coasters, as I journey from France into Switzerland and encounter some stunning scenery and have some amazing rides on an adventure that I can't wait to show you. I've been Rollercoaster David, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again in another video very soon.